Okay.
Whenever you want to go, you are good to go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of McCandless meeting of January the 11th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The invocation as well as the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Terrell.
Good. Dear Lord, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture our sense of community. Help us as we make decisions that might affect our neighbors and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the service to our community. We ask these in your name. Amen. Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
All right, we have a couple of announcements this evening. I wanted to remind everyone you should have gotten your radon test letter by now. So if you have not sent that in for your free test from the American Lung Association, I really would encourage you to do that. Also, if anyone is interested in some community service, we're a little limited on what we can do right now, but we're working on building our list. If you're interested in doing that, you can go onto the town website and then go under the ACC, the Activities Committee, and sign up what your interests are, things that you'd be willing to help out and get involved with. Also, the community calendar, the website community calendar is still up and active. So if you're not-for-profit meeting, you have meetings or events that you would like to have posted on the calendar to be public for the town, please, you can also do that by going to the town website. February the 16th at 7 p.m. we're partnering with the Northland Library to have a panel discussion on the overpopulation of the white-tailed deer in the North Hills. So please stay tuned for further details about that. Also, keep an eye out for the town's new Twitter account that is going to be going live very soon. And I want to mention it now to give you time, but I know we just have one citizen. If you have any comments, please go ahead and sign up in the chat box and put your name, your address, and your topic. It can be about anything. This is open public comment. One more thing, the Heritage Center is sponsoring the Good Old Days Bingo. So that is also on the website, and any person who gets bingo will be registered for a North Park Ice Ring Family Pass. So please look at that. Trying to promote some as much activities as we can during these difficult times. That's all the announcements that I have for right now. Moving on, seminars and conferences, I don't think so. Number 5, is there a motion for the minutes?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve. Do we do this in one motion or two?
You can do it in 1 or 2.
Okay, let's do it in one, make things easier. I make a motion to approve the minutes that were submitted to each member of council for the following 2 meetings. Meeting of Town Council minutes of December 14th, 2020, and the meeting of Town Council minutes of December 21st, 2020.
Second.
Okay, I think Trish got that out first. I think we've all had time to submit our corrections. Or are any corrections that weren't able to be submitted that maybe you found at the last minute?
I just noticed one. There was a repeat on page 5 under the nominations and appointments.
So
We've corrected
did you get
that.
that one? Okay, because it's not mine. Okay, I got it.
Anything else? All right. All those in favor as adopting the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. This is the public comment time. RJ, do we have anyone signed up?
I do not see anyone signed up in the chat box.
Okay. All right, we will move on to reports of committees. Finance and Personnel Committee.
Okay, we have 4 things tonight. The first one is to review check listing number 12, dated December 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, totaling $1,580,705.09 is submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and town website. Didn't know if anybody had any questions for Trish.
I have,
David?
yep, there were a couple questions, but it's really just one question. I saw some checks for, there was PM Computing and then another like computer type vendor. Are any of those entries related to the software changes that we're making, or are those not those at all?
Yeah, we have not started any of the software changes that are in the 2021 budget yet. Those are all costs associated with the current contract.
Okay, and are those, because I know there was one for like 4,000, one for like 8,000. Are those normal monthly expenses, or is it just more because it's the beginning of the year and we have to pay more upfront?
No, this is more, we are billed two invoices a month, one for the standard upkeep for each computer device, and then the other is for the customer service. And then any supplemental work that they might do related to purchasing hardware for us are billed separately as well. I can get you copies of those invoices if you'd like.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just wondering and crossing my fingers, hoping that that was the start of the software upgrade, but I guess not.
Likewise.
I have a question. Were you done, David?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Bob or Trish, I was just looking at the check listing, and I know that there's been the transition of our town attorneys. Will this be because Tucker Ahrensberg had a fairly large payment in December. So will this be essentially the end of any material level of payments to Tucker Ahrensberg?
Yes, and that is for 2 months.
Oh,
Just
okay.
to make you aware, that was for the last 2 months, their service while we were reviewing all of the bills, and that should essentially end that working relationship.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have anything before we move to the next item? Hearing none. Second item on the agenda, review the monthly financial summary and dashboard report. It was included in your packet. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Bob or Trish.
Oh,
Keep in mind, this is the preliminary draft report for December. As part of the end of year financials, you will see December, not only this month, but next month. And then depending on what audit adjustments we have, potentially also in March before it is final for the year. So we had fluctuations upwards of $500,000 last year between 12/31 and end of year. So just keep in mind this will fluctuate a little bit back and forth. If you have any questions on it to start, I'm happy to answer them now, or I will take them again, anytime you want to give me a call or shoot me an email, but you will see December again next month.
one really quick question.
Sure, Dave.
The that 450,000, that was the net change in the fund balance.
Yes.
So the amount going to the capital improvement fund, is that something that we already have seen reflected, or is that kind of additional?
Correct. we have already seen the 1.5 million go to CIP. And so that 500,000 right now that we're sitting in the positive is a very good thing. Hopefully, we'll stay somewhere above in a positive net change.
Okay, awesome. So that would be essentially whatever's kind of left over from that would be extra money that goes into that capital improvement fund over that initially planned 1.5 million or whatever.
We would be transferring that in
2022.
22.
2022. Okay. But a good start.
Yes, much
Thank
better than we would have anticipated.
Excellent.
Special thanks to the department heads for staying at or below budget. Strong work.
Any other questions before we move to the next item? Seeing none. Madam President, for number 3, shall I just go ahead and make the motion?
Does anyone have any questions about this first before we make a motion? Okay, everybody was clear on it. I have a question. In reading the proposal, it said that council would be presented with a resolution that had all the fees in it. I have not seen that. Is that somewhere?
That will be a deliverable from them, that you will approve those fees before this is just entering into the agreement to work with them. The fees we will approve separately.
I kind of like approving the fees before I enter into an agreement.
Yeah, I think we should know them before we move.
These are fees that will be charged to the taxpayer, not to us.
I saw that, I was looking, we discussed this, Bob, and the fees are charged to the delinquent taxpayer, but they're also taking 10% of
Yeah,
what they were.
The
It does
charge
say-
to
it
the
does say that.
taxpayer is 10%. All of those fees are paid by the taxpayer and not the town.
All right. Steve, did you look at that contract? Did you look at that proposal?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I also noted in part of the proposal, there was I don't know if it's technically a draft fee resolution, but there is a sample of a fee resolution that they've used in other locations. And they seem to have changed the title to Town of McCandless. So that's in there. Everything looks fine to me, fairly standard contract, standard fees that are charged elsewhere. It is not unusual for a 10% collection fee to be charged directly to the delinquent payor, whether it's taxes or fees.
So let me just make sure that I understand. So if a person has $10 of delinquent taxes to the town, and that money is recovered, do we get $10? Do we get $9?
We get $10
Right.
and the taxpayer pays 11.
Okay,
And
All right.
one will go to Melo Brungo Melo.
okay.
I have a question related to that. If at some point the property owner cannot pay these fees, will we as a town be charged for the pursuit or the non-collection of them because of the work done to make that collection happen? I saw in there was an exceptions maybe for elderly or sick or something like that. Would the town be charged in those instances? Can you tell?
My understanding is that no.
Okay.
The only time the town will incur any fee would be when we would have them filing liens, and then once those are recovered, we get the first money back. The net effect is that there's no out-of-pocket expense overall to the town.
It also looks like if there were a situation where the town encourage pursuit of a tax sheriff sale or something along those lines. And then the town changed its mind that there could be a legal bill that would be associated with that because there's no collection on the back end. But those have seemed to be the only two situations that I agree with Bob's point and what I'm bringing up here is the two situations where there could be a direct charge to the town.
That was the only question that I had. So yes, if you'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Madam President, I move to appoint Malio, Brungo and Malio LLP as delinquent tax collector.
I'll second.
And could we make one small addition, add MBM Collections as an additional entity there? They work together, the law firm will represent, there's the same group of people, but they just have two different entities. So it would be Malo, Brungo, Malo, and MBM Collections.
And so for that to take effect, the motioner, Mr. Taro, and the seconder would have to agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay.
All right.
Enough.
So we can call for a vote on the amended motion that adds the MBM collections also. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, last item on our report, notification that a public hearing is scheduled for council's regular meeting on February 8th on a tentatively identified ordinance number 1512, authorizing the renewal of a cable franchise agreement negotiated by the North Hills Council of Governments between the town and Verizon Pennsylvania LLC.
All right. Zoning committee. You have your zoning report there. Thank you, RJ, for those nice annual summaries. Let us know how much hard work that we've been doing all year. That was kind of nice to look over those. Was there any questions about any of that? Okay. Notification that a public hearing is scheduled for council's regular business meeting on January the 25th on tentatively identified ordinance number 1510, amending and updating the town's oil and gas drilling regulation. Also on that same day, there will be, this is a notification that a public hearing is scheduled for council's regular business meeting on January 25th on tentatively identified ordinance number 1511, an ordinance amending the town's zoning ordinance regulating non-conforming structures. All of these public hearing documents are on the town website. So for the public, please feel free to look those over so you can have some good questions and comments at those public hearings. If there aren't any other questions, we can go to public safety.
Okay, first up, Chief's report. Does anyone have any questions or comments about it?
Madam President, really quickly, I had one question on the zoning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There was, under the old business, there was an appeal where it said the town will take a position on this variance request. It was at the vacant lot on Blazer. Is that encapsulated with what we've already addressed? And it's just a matter of, getting that position to them, or?
Please, RJ, if I get this wrong, jump in here, but the town had our town attorney send a letter and express council's desire on that particular potential development, and they asked for a delay. That's the wrong word. And they're coming back next month, or they're going to cancel. We don't know, but they
Okay. Right. Yeah, they asked, once you open a zoning hearing board hearing, you can continue the hearing until, all parties have presented all the evidence, asked all their questions and whatnot. The applicant asked that the hearing be continued an additional month. I think, in response to the council taking a position. As far as I know, it's still going to be on the agenda at the end of this month as another old business item.
Okay, so the position we had to take, we've already taken. It's
Yes.
not, that's not like a new action item.
Nope, you got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David. I'm sorry I missed you. I'm sorry, go ahead with the chief's report. Caroline, I apologize.
No, it's okay. So we have the chief's report. Are there any questions, comments? Ryan's on. None? Okay. Next, do you want me to move to, should I do this, Kim? Move to appoint the Malio Brungo Malio LLP as a solicitor for the Personnel Board.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, David, I think you beat him just a little bit. Is there any questions about this or any comments or concerns about this? Okay,
I think for the record, this is being done as Steve is now our town attorney and can't serve in that role as the solicitor to the personnel board. So we're making this change.
okay. So MBM will serve us in two functions, if you're keeping up with that, in that they will be our solicitors for personnel as well as collections.
Correct.
All right. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public Works.
The report is in your packets. Mark is online if anyone has any questions. Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, Services Committee.
Fire Marshal's report, the permit report, and the code enforcement violation complaint statistics report are all in your packet. I believe Fire Marshal Stack is on the phone if anyone has any questions.
Hope
Councilwoman
everyone-
Smalls,
I hope
I have a
everyone-
question.
Angela.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's all right. I spoke out.
Marshall Stack, I noticed that the physicals were still delayed until further notice. I wasn't clear on what the reason for that was.
We've just been waiting for the new budget year to come in at this point. Dan
Okay.
and I spoke about that, and we are going to be scheduling those as soon as we can. It was just a matter of budgeting at this point.
Very good, thank you.
I was going to just make a comment and say, I hope everyone was able to catch Fire Marshal Stack's fire safety video that was on. And we're looking forward to seeing a couple more of those. So very nice job on that.
Any other questions? And that concludes my report.
All right, Recreation Committee.
In your packet, you received a program overview of the joint rec, the G.J. Hoffman Junior Joint Rec Program. And as a council, we do have some decisions that will need to be made before further expenditure of town resources, including finances and our staff timing. So at this point, I guess we can decide if, at first, to see if you have questions, and then take a look at the two recommendations that we have.
Just as an overview for the public, normally the summer rec program, the planning starts the second week of, the committee starts meeting the second week of January, which you're thinking, gosh, summer doesn't look like summer, doesn't feel like summer, but you know, these programs take a lot of time, a lot of planning. And so that's the reason we kind of got pushed onto this decision now, because, to decide what direction we wanted to go into, because they need to get started if they're going to go.
So, President Zachary, should we ask then for a vote on, first on looking at the program of 2021 at this point then?
Why don't you just state the recommendation, Trish, about this year's program, and then we'll have discussion. And then if we finish discussion, then we can just do a head nod, really, I think.
Okay. For the year 2021, the recommendation is to cancel the program at this time to eliminate the need to expend any resources with the town, especially considering the uncertainties of the pandemic right now and the likelihood that it will be at least a year before we can plan for these sort of activities.
Any comments or?
It's more than COVID too, right? The usage is plummeting, and plus now over the years, private enterprise has stepped up, and there's plenty of programs for the kids in the summer.
And that's what, you're right, that's part of it, and that will be part of, the next recommendation too.
Gotcha.
Exactly, Mike, what you said is true, but even if it was wildly attended, and we just don't know where we're going to be, and we have to get teachers to sign contracts and secure facilities, and it's a lot. Start advertising, and most people don't think we're going to be there this summer. We're not going to be, we're not going to be there to be able to do these things yet. So any other questions about that, or comments, or? So I think I'm right. Steve, we can just do this by a head nod. Yes, we decide we want to cancel, or do you think we need a formal vote?
You could do it either way, but if you do a formal motion, you'll need to ask for public comment since it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay. All right. So is everybody comfortable giving a head nod of yes, let's just cancel this for this year? I'm looking at all the heads. They're all bobbing. That's good. Okay. All right then.
Even Bob.
Yeah. So everybody did give a affirmative nod to definitely cancel the summer rec program for 2021. All right, Tricia, do you want to make the second recommendation?
Okay. And the second recommendation is moving forward into the future. Based on the original agreement, we do need to give at least 12 months notice if we are considering not being a part of the program any longer. I do recommend right now to possibly move into some other options for summer recreation for our young people in McCandless. And some of these reasons include cost, number 2, staffing concerns, number 3, duplication of services like Mike mentioned, and number 4, the year-to-year uncertainty, not only because of pandemic, but also because of uncertainty in site locations and numbers and staffing and things like that. I think we could probably work on a different, more effective program here in the town of McCandless for our young people.
So what we're asking is, or what this recommendation is asking to remove ourselves from this agreement. It's a 4-community agreement. Only 2 communities have participated for a while because they have their own things that they're doing. So it's just been, and McCandless has been shouldering the large portion of the responsibility for the program. So we think that we just need to start over with something else. So we're asking if council will give a 12-minute notice to remove ourselves from this agreement.
I have a question, Madam President. 12-month notice, I guess this is for Councilwoman Clunin. Is it from June or now?
It would be from, we would need to give the rest of the participants in the program 12 months notice, because I would say we would need to make that notice now, because planning for the 2022 program should be beginning in January of 2022.
It's 12 calendar months, so this would be notice immediately effective next January, Angela.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was from the date that the program started
No.
or from the date the planning begins.
Since this is a withdrawal from an agreement, I would recommend a motion
Agreed.
and offer public comment as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. Are there any more comments?
I just have one more question. I'm sorry, because this
Sure.
appeared on the agenda as just a discussion on the future. I guess that's, I just, you know, I want to make sure that the public who wants to comment has an opportunity to comment, and I'm not sure that it was very clear that this was a possibility for tonight. Is next meeting too late to withdraw?
No, we could definitely do it next time. I think that's a very well taken point, and I would be fine with that. And then we can have a motion on there, and then that gives people time for public comment also. I'm fine with
Thank you.
that. Yeah, that's a good point.
I agree with that. Thank you, Councilmember Woods.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All right then. All right. So let's plan then. Then we've agreed to cancel this year's, and then we'll put this on the agenda for a vote, and then that will give us time to have the public comment that we need, and we'll move from there. Okay. Anything else from Rep?
Just in relation to our Marion Bright, I learned from our communications manager with the town that it was the most watched video that the town has produced, and I'm very proud of the work that the AAC has been doing. And we do have several events coming and to look out for in February and March.
It was very nice. A couple of those viewings were mine. I watched it a couple of times. It was good. It was really nice. All right. I don't believe we have any old business, but we do have some new business to discuss the use, the potential use of a grant writer. So some of our neighboring communities are having some success with hiring grant writers, grant writing agency services. And so I wanted to bring this up to council for discussion and see if this is something that we would be interested in looking into as a possibility. So what are your all's thoughts about that?
I am strongly in favor of exploring. I mean, I've worked with a lot of grant writers, and my department did grant writing when I was working. And I do believe, not within the municipal arena, but I believe more than ever that seeking these kinds of services will more than pay for themselves over and over again, and benefit the town. So I think exploring what the options would be, who would do it, how much it would cost, are very worthy.
I've heard the same thing. I've heard that the communities are getting 10 times back what they're investing in it, which is perked my ears right up. David?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing with that. And I think we maybe even talked about it, if I remember right. One of the things that came out of the police feedback was that they wanted to have somebody to be able to do grant writing. So I don't know if this is something we can roll into that when we look at this, or if that's just too specialized where, you know, it wouldn't be something that somebody could kind of cover both those bases.
We'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But in any case, I'm in favor of looking into it. And I think when we look into it, we should just keep as broad a view as possible. You know, like, I think the library has somebody who does that. You know, but just with pretty much everything, like I said, as broad a view as possible for doing that. Doesn't necessarily have to be pigeonholed.
other comments? So do we like this? Do we think this is a fabulous idea to look for money?
Absolutely.
It's never a good idea to look for money, no.
Who objects to that?
Who objects to money?
Who objects to that? Any other additional comments?
Steve, as you have experienced this in your tenure around municipal government, do these firms assist in the administration as well, or does that fall to the municipality?
Typically, it falls to the municipality.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I mean, I'm not arguing against this. I'm just making the council aware that many times a lot of the work comes in the administration of the grant and not in the grant writing itself or going after. It's we have to be very careful about how money is spent, how bids are put together, just record keeping and things like that. So there's a lot of work that the staff will be doing as well on this. No, I'm not arguing against doing it. I'm just making you all aware that there's that aspect of it too.
That's a very good point, and we would have to take that into consideration in making this decision.
Yes.
That maybe we can get grant money, but it's not a grant money, enough money to take care of what we need and help out with some of the costs of administrating that grant. So that would have to be, you know, that's something that we would have to look at. And we have to look at individual grants. I mean, this person wouldn't just go out and say, let me apply for these grants. Here you are, McCandless, now make them work. They would have to work very closely with our administrative staff. And Bob may just say, we don't have time to do this thing. This is too much. We have to do something else. You know, they would have to be at that working relationship.
And most of the grants that the town may seek from governmental entities, state, county, etc., there's usually a resolution component to the grant applications that the council is authorizing or requesting the funds. So there'll be a lot of opportunity for discussion and debate over the actual grants themselves.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Right. So it's not somebody just going off.
Right. These folks are not just going to pull a list up and apply for 100 different grants. They work hand in hand with the communities, determine what your goals are, and, you know, bring to your attention opportunities.
Okay.
Bob, do we, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, David. I was saying, go ahead.
Bob, do we have folks, I just don't know, and I do not mean this to offend anybody because I am just totally ignorant on the subject. Do we have folks like you or Tricia that have experience in administering grant funds, the administration half of it?
I would say that we have at least 3 people on staff familiar with writing grants and administering grants at this point.
Yeah, RJ is going to chime in here.
RJ's waving her arms.
I'm just saying, I'm number 3 at least.
And I've done it once or twice in my career.
Okay, I was assuming we had some experience. I just didn't know.
Yeah, we certainly have the experience.
We just have to make sure they have the time.
Right. Right.
on top of everything
And-
else they're doing.
And I will say, so we have the experience and I think I'm going to add Sandy Bauer to the list because she has a definite interest in assisting us in these efforts.
Yeah, and reason why I ask is because that kind of goes, I don't know how many meetings ago it was, but we were talking about the potential need for some more staff at the town. And so this could be where people are hired, not necessarily for this grant administration, but would free up other people to be able to do that.
I think that that's an option to consider right along with a firm that that handles some of these things. It's one option to consider.
Okay, thank you.
So what do you think about going forward with this? Okay, good. What I'd like to do is to form an ad hoc committee of 2 council members, 3 if there are 3, but 2 for sure, to investigate this and to look at 2 or 3 firms and or service companies, service providers. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. I know Bob knows some, probably RJ does. I know Steve does, can kind of help you get started. So I was going to ask for a couple of council members to just volunteer for this committee. Is there someone who's interested in doing this? Tricia?
Yep.
Terrific.
Especially, I think this fits well into looking forward in our recreation and things like that too, because I think
Yeah, that
we're
could be a
missing.
big benefit from you all. Yeah,
Mhm.
it sure could. Is there anyone else?
Do it if no one else is willing.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. I know you have a lot going on with your stormwater stuff. Okay, all right, thank you. So I appreciate you all volunteering. Thank you so much. And like I said, look at a couple of these, 2 or 3. I don't know if there are 100. I don't know if there are only 2, but get a sampling of 2 or 3 of these, and then maybe generate a report with a recommendation. And I'm sure, Bob would, put his 2 cents in there also to help you all kind of make sure.
I always have an opinion, Matt.
that it- and that's why we hired you. That's why we have you.
And I'll be happy to help out too, so. if-
Would you, David? Okay, that would be great. Great. Yeah, and like I said, if you would generate just a short report and then with a recommendation of who you want and why you want them, or you say, oh, we do not want to get into this, whatever you think, we appreciate that. That would be great. Thank you all for doing that. Is there anything else on the grant writing?
I was gonna
Get
say
this started.
one thing. I know there's a group over in Shadyside, Karen Slevin and Natalie Taff Hoffman, who do this for the Mellon family. It's obviously a non-for-profit, but they're pretty connected in this world of grant writing. So I'm gonna check with them to see if they have any suggestions,
That would be great.
some ideas.
That would be good, Carolyn.
Okay.
Okay. Is anything else? No? Any other new business? Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. I'm afraid to say, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of adjourning our meeting this evening, please indicate by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
See ya.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
And for anyone who wants me to, I